All right, so we're going to jump in the middle of this. Not really going to start off anywhere. Look, I just find these kinds of things boring. To me, the most interesting thing to observe is the dynamics of the court. And basically, it boils down to, in a body language sense, who is more confident in their interpretation and knowledge of the law. Because you could be one little guy against the opposing side of 10 lawyers. But if you are confident, walk tall, and are extremely word intelligent, you're probably going to win. So let's get into this. We're going to see some court dynamics, and we're going to see one of the witnesses that I've seen so far that is kind of like, you can't argue with her hard evidence. And when we get to her, I'll tell you what the hard evidence is so you have the context. Right now, we're going to see some back and forth over even allowing this particular witness in.
Thank you. This was another issue that was raised in the 807 notice by plaintiffs that they were going to use hearsay. I apologize, Mr. Olson, you're having a hard time hearing me, and I'll try and speak up. The disclosure that I received had an listed Exhibit A. There was no attachment. So all I have is information that this witness is going to testify about a voicemail from someone with a first name, no last name.
Oh, Your Honor.
I don't have any substance.
It's a voicemail from somebody by the name of Betty, who identifies herself as working in the Department of Elections for Maricopa County. The voicemail was left to my client in response to a FOIA request.
So I'm watching the judge at this point, and this particular lawyer that is speaking, he's on Kari Lake's side, and he's trying to get this voicemail into court as evidence with his witness, who is going to be speaking about this particular voicemail. And this witness has hard evidence. So it's kind of deceiving in a way when you hear hearsay, because as soon as you hear hearsay, no matter which side you're on, you should automatically go, oh, really? You got nothing? Because as much as we love humanity, humans are horrible at memory recall when it comes to these kind of situations.
The Records Act request that was made for chain of custody documentation. And the voice...
So the judge is watching and listening to him extremely intently. It's kind of creepy because his eyes are glued on this lawyer. He's got his hands to his mouth, so he's trying to control himself as he listens to this lawyer. Because with the evidence that he has in hand, as far as his understanding, he doesn't want to let it in. It's hearsay.
Mail, we believe, Your Honor, is a statement against interest. Because
I did see a slight look over to Hobbs's team, but he goes back to the lawyer. I'm just going to call him Hobbs and Lake.
Basically say, don't know.
Okay.
You have exposure.
Okay. Who's going to respond?
Your Honor, I will. Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to object to calling this witness for the purposes of testifying by hearsay testimony by somebody named Betty, who is not a party in this case, and therefore cannot make any statements, admissions on behalf of the party. And this so-called voicemail has no authentication, so I would object on foundation as well, Your Honor. And Your Honor, we don't have, hasn't been disclosed.
It's been disclosed, Your Honor. This court even has no trial. But Your Honor, Betty identifies herself as someone working in the Maricopa County Department of Elections. She also identifies that she is responding to my client regarding a Public Records Act request that was, I'm sorry if I said my client, she was responding to my witness regarding a Public Records Act request. It was my client who made that Public Records Act request. And Betty is explaining in the voicemail that they're still looking for the records, but they have no idea, and she's got to go on vacation, so she should call back and talk to somebody else. This is a Public Records Act.
So he's listening intently to Lake, but then he goes back to the Hobbs, just briefly, because he knows that they're on the objection. They don't want this witness to come forward and testify because, again, like I said, this one has actually the hard evidence. Election laws were violated. So this judge, as I have previously said about the case, who was deciding when this was going to happen and stuff, he seemed to be one of those judges that walks the fine line of the law. And just as long as it follows the law, you should be happy. And in this instance, this is one of those knife's edge things because hearsay in general is not something you can bring into a U.S. courtroom.
Request, Your Honor, that is directly relevant to the trial here today.
That's not my problem. I agree with you. I see the relevance of what you're arguing. My problem and where I'm focusing my questioning is the authentication and the disclosure of this, because you're asking for this under 807 as an exception, because there's not another recognized exception to the hearsay rule, and I didn't see anything disclosed. You're telling me this today. This is the first I'm hearing it. So.
And again, this is the first I'm hearing it, then he looks over again to Hobbs' team, back and forth. They either are going to pipe up and give him a solid objection as to why, other than what they have, because the lawyer here, the Lake lawyer, is giving a pretty good argument on why. Now we're going to skip through this because this is kind of boring. We're going to get to the witness they really don't want.
If you make an offer of proof separate and apart from the witness's testimony, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'll accept that. You can go ahead and make an offer of proof. Do you have that right now?
The audio recording?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor, we can pull it up.
Well, that's what I want you to do. Give your offer of proof.
He does. He keeps looking. I was going to go straight to the witness, but I stopped here just to sit there and see what went on. And he keeps looking at the Hobbs team, waiting. It bothers me. I mean, to some extent, on a body language level, with the context involved, that you know that they don't want that on. So you kind of look at them because you're expecting somebody to stand up and go, nope, 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 no. But I guess I've watched too much TV. I'm waiting for the judge to sit there and says, you just spit it out. You stop jerking my chain, spit it out.
All right, and may I play, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yes. Let's see. We have
Oh, that was a good sly move, right? So he's looking over at the Hobbs team. You see the eyebrows go up. Something in a visual sense, nonverbal, was exchanged between the two. Don't know what it was. He may be walking the fine line of being law-abiding judge, but I do not like any kind of camaraderie between anyone in a courtroom. It should all be neutral.
Yes, go with 74. This is what's listed as Exhibit 74, Your Honor. For defense counsel's sake, it is listed as Q1.1.
And now afterwards, he's holding his lips very tightly. He was being a mouth breather there for a little bit, but now we're very tight as they are now going to play the audio.
And now, Your Honor, I'm hoping she didn't say she was Betsy.
Hi, Michelle, this is Betty. Hi, Michelle, this is Betty calling with the Maricopa County Elections Department. I'm so sorry that I'm calling you back so late. I was getting your message yesterday. I still don't have information. Christy is waiting to receive information as to where that document is. So we haven't forgotten. We just haven't heard back. And I just wanted to give you that update, which is really not an update, but it is still on our to-do list to see where we can get that for you. Once we do have it, we will call you and let you know. I am actually going to start my holiday tomorrow, and I'm going to be off all through the following week. So if you need to touch base, I would say go ahead and touch base directly with Christy, and then she can provide any updates. But she knows that we need to get you that information and reach back out to you. So that's all I have. I know it's not much, but I wanted to at least get you that information. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. And if I don't talk to you, have a fabulous Christmas and New Year, and perhaps we'll talk in the. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye. Hi, Michelle. This is Betty calling with the Maricopa County Elections Department.
Is
Uh,
that the same one?
Yeah.
It just looped, Your Honor.
Looped. Okay, very good. All right.
That would make an interesting crank phone call, Your Honor. That somebody identifies themselves in the Maricopa County Elections Department, stating their name and saying, we're still waiting for the record in response to your request, Your Honor. My client will testify as to who this individual is. I'm sorry, not my client, my witness. My witness will testify, Your Honor, that she interacts with this individual
Okay.
when she's fulfilling FOIA requests from the Maricopa County Recorder's Office.
Very good. Okay. Go ahead and call your witness. I'm going to give it the weight I deem appropriate, when all the dust settles, but you can go ahead and call your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So he's allowing it in. There's something on that phone. It bothers me when they have phone stuff there. Because, well, we've seen what politicians do on phones. But it had distracted him towards the end as the Lake lawyer was speaking and after the voicemail.
As soon as she's situated, you may proceed, Mr. White.
Good afternoon, Miss Honey. Can you please state your full name for the record?
Heather Penny.
What do you do, Miss Honey, for a living?
I'm an investigator. I'm also an auditor. I do supply chain consulting as well.
How long have you engaged in that type of work?
Um,
Maybe as an investigator?
Over 30 years.
Over 30 years. And so,
Okay, so this is the witness that has hard evidence. Now, the context being, she sat there and went and got all of these supposed receipts. So there was the drop box, and then someone would pick it up. They would take it to the location, and they would count it. The bag would be broken open, and it would be counted. And then it would be tagged with the receipt, so that as it went through the chain of custody, voila, you knew how many were in there from the moment it got picked up to the moment it got counted officially through the ballot counter. Not hard. It is their state law. That is how they, by law, have to do it. It's fine. Now, what she is a witness to is there's no receipts in Maricopa County. And the voicemail says that she can't find them.
so what do you do as an investigator? Investigator?
Yeah, I mean, I do corporate investigations. I do, as I mentioned, supply chain investigations, counter diversion, those sorts of things. And recently, over the course of the last about 2.5 years, our research has sort of expanded into, sort of government accountability, transparency, and elections.
Okay. You also conduct a great deal of open source.
We're seeing a lot of stress with her. We've got her fingers intertwined. They're petting it sometimes. She's messing with her mouth a lot, and she pretty much messes with her mouth a lot throughout the entire time of her testimony. So we're going to go see the back and forth dynamics because there's going to be a lot of objections.
Ron, I'd like a moment to review this with my co-counsel before it's published to the witness. Your Honor, I'm going to object in that this exhibit, which seems to be more of an exhibit than must have, contains many signatures from individuals whose signatures should not be published to the public, Your Honor.
Your Honor, signatures are routinely published, and we have a cite to that statute, 6B.
Let me ask a question, if I could, please.
Yes.
Mr. Blunt. Are these signatures related to the 2020 election in Arizona?
You know, I believe these are,
May I answer that question?
yes,
Well, not to.
these are related to 2022. This is the 2022 election. The documents contained within this PowerPoint are from the 2022 election. They were all provided either in response to.
This has made him very nervous. As soon as he heard these signatures are from the 2022 election, His hand falls down from his face. He starts backing away from them, going back in his chair, literally rolling the chair back. That's how far away he's trying to get. Picks himself up, adjusts himself in that chair, and then turns away over to his computer. I'm going to assume because mentally he's going to start looking up law, which doesn't give me warm, fuzzy feelings about this judge. But again, it seems that he's trying to walk that fine line.
My client's FOIA request, or they are public source documents that are published online, including, there's a citation right off the bat, Your Honor, to the EPA. And so there's nothing in here that's been a surprise. This chart made by my client has also been disclosed. And with respect to signatures, Your Honor, signatures are public all the time. Signatures of voters, people.
For regards to the signatures, the judge starts to go tight-lip when he mentions they're public all the time. And he's going to now start listing where they're public. The judge picks his hands up, puts it over his mouth. Stress. We've gone into hiding. So we've already seen him wanting to back away from this as soon as he mentions, no, this is for 2022. Now he's going to give the argument on why signatures should be allowed. I remember, well, you probably don't remember because we're cutting a lot of this out, but this woman only does open source investigation. So everything in her investigation is public knowledge. She's just gathered it together.
People check their lists, their roster lists. I'm sorry, I'm not active in politics, so I don't know what it's called to run for office. You got to go get whatever it is, enough signatures to get on that. Those are accessible to the public. Okay, I can go on the county recorder's webpage right now, today, this very second, and I can pull up titles, deeds, financial documents, all kinds of records.
So as he's going down the list, the judge is closing his eyes. His hand's gone further over his mouth. He's looking over to the Hobbs team. And mentally, this guy is pushing his argument that he's right.
That specifically contain signature. These documents, Your Honor, which I'm going to move all of the underlying documents into the record, contain no PII. We're not talking about birth dates, social security numbers. We're not talking about driver's license. We're talking about Maricopa County's own documents.
Your Honor, if I heard counsel correctly, he wants to move these in as exhibits, so therefore they're not a demonstrative, and they have not been provided on his exhibit list.
Your Honor, I'll tell you what, the moment I come across the document that has not been provided on my exhibit list this court doesn't have, then I'll stop with the demonstrative. I'm not at this time seeking to admit this demonstrative exhibit into the record. I may do so after my witness testifies. But right now, I would like to walk through this demonstrative, which is based on documents received from open source, DPM. You can go online. You can Google it.
So he says open source, again, reminding the judge that this all is open source. By the way, these documents that they're arguing over, these are the receipts that I mentioned. That is why this is very important to have them in. So the judge actually kind of relaxes on that. It's like, oh, it's open source. Oh, that's I don't know what is going through his mind. I really don't understand it as far as, is he team, right is wrong, wrong is right, or what? I have no idea. I just know that gave him a sense of relax. It's open source. The hand came away, the face kind of relaxed, the body relaxed.
And there it is. Documents that were provided by Maricopa County.
If I may, Your Honor.
Yes.
These documents appear to fall under Title 16-168. Any person in possession or precinct register or list in whole or in part, or any reproduction of precinct register or list shall not permit the register or list to be used, bought, sold, otherwise transferred for any purpose other than otherwise authorized in this section. And this is not the use authorized in the section for these documents.
Was that section F?
It was section F. It's for government. It's for election officials, or perhaps expanded by court to government officials, and the witness is not a government official or an election official, Your Honor.
Your Honor, if the entirety of Section F were read, there are very clear and very specific exclusions, including the media, Your Honor. The media have access to signatures. Elections, Your Honor, is an exclusion. It does not say government officials running elections. And this case, Your Honor, is about an election.
What's the statute again, 16-1?
Your Honor, it's Title 16, 168F. If I may, Your Honor, I would ask that the counsel direct his comments to the court and not to my co-counsel.
What you're waiting on now is the judge is actually reading the law that was brought up for him to judge on.
It's a demonstrative exhibit, Your Honor, prepared by my witness to walk the court through the various chain of custody documents used by the Maricopa County Recorder's Office, as well as the court, as well as the Board of Supervisors. I think this
To show,
just to show Your Honor and the court and the witnesses. The media deserves to know, Your Honor.
show what?
To show the process, the documents used, okay, how the flow of ballots moves. And I will tell you, Your Honor, it's one of our contentions that because Maricopa County does not adequately maintain chain of custody of drop box and mail ballots, that it becomes much easier to infuse ballots into the system. And that's one of our allegations, Your Honor.
Okay. I understand what your offer of proof is about.
Your Honor, this...
All right. So here's that part of it. It's their contention. This is what it does. It's kind of a slow process as we watch this go through. But the judge listening, you can kind of see him semi-submit to the, oh, okay. The body kind of relaxes down, head goes down, like, okay, yes, you win. You know he's going to win. The other side obviously knows that by watching the judge. So he's going to pipe in.
Reporter Richard also talked about what an extraordinary number the 275 was.
Ms. Honey, that was not my question.
Sorry.
My question was, what is the number now?
I believe they ultimately said it was 292,000 that had been dropped off at drop boxes.
As you sit here today,
I just want to pipe in here because we have skipped forward to this number. They should know this number. Why? Because of the receipts that come through. This is not a guess, but they don't know. That's why that number changed, which again goes back to this is why it's hard evidence.
how many of those ballots have legal chain of custody?
Based on the documents provided, none.
Your Honor, objection calls for conclusion.
And here we go into the objection. This is the court dynamics. How many of these have the chain of custody? Blah, blah, blah. The other side, object. And this is when you start to really see if the judge is going to walk the line of the law, because it seems like a very straightforward question, because it seems very easy. How many have receipts?
Rule 701.
You're asking her, according to her understanding, from what she's experienced and observed, what's her number?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ma'am, if you can answer it, go ahead and answer it.
And the judge allows it. Oh, that's a win. He really does walk that fine line. Probably unwillingly, but he does.
So we reviewed all of the documents provided by Maricopa County in response to our requests, and the answer is that none of the documents that they created meet the requirements from the EPM.
I think we should end it here. That wasn't much of a fight of an objection. I'm going to assume that through this entire thing, the other side is realizing that this judge is not going to bend the law for them, which is great news for us. Because as long as we follow the law, everything should work out great. Because all the other side has to do to debunk this witness is just bring forward the receipts. It's not hard. Episode 2 of Skinwalker Ranch has been released, and as we follow along with the reality of it, is it real or is it not? This time, supposedly, they saw something.
Oh, there it is again. There it is again.
If you like it, please share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.